Welcome to this video on impact assessment in tourism policy and planning. Impact assessment is a vital tool in the development of tourism policies. It ensures that the economic, environmental and social effects of tourism are thoroughly evaluated before policies are implemented. This process helps stakeholders make informed decisions that balance growth with long-term sustainability, ensuring that tourism benefits both the destination and its communities. Impact assessment is the process of evaluating how tourism policies and activities affect a destination's economy, environment, and society. By conducting an impact assessment, policymakers can anticipate both the positive and negative consequences of tourism and develop strategies to enhance benefits while minimizing harm. This video will explore each of these dimensions in detail: economic, environmental, and social impacts. Let's start by looking at the economic impacts of tourism policies. Tourism is a significant contributor to local economies through spending in accommodation, food services, transportation, and retail. To assess these economic impacts, policymakers use tools like input-output, IO models, and computable general equilibrium, CGE models. These models help us understand how tourism spending affects other industries and how it creates jobs and generates income. Sectoral linkages, IO models, show the relationships between sectors, how spending in tourism influences other industries such as agriculture, manufacturing, and services. For example, increased demand for food services boosts the agricultural sector. Multiplier effects. Tourism spending creates ripple effects throughout the economy. Direct spending by tourists generates indirect demand for goods and services from suppliers, and induced effects occur when income earned from tourism jobs leads to more household spending. These multiplier effects give us a clearer picture of tourism's broad economic benefits. Scenario analysis. These models are also useful for scenario analysis. For example, policymakers can simulate different tourism policies to predict their economic outcomes. A policy promoting sustainable tourism may show increased demand for eco-friendly products, impacting different sectors compared to conventional tourism policies. The environmental impacts of tourism are a crucial concern for policymakers. Tourism can put pressure on natural resources, disrupt ecosystems, and contribute to pollution. To assess these impacts, we use several methods. Environmental valuation techniques. Methods like contingent valuation, hedonic pricing, and the travel cost method help assign monetary values to environmental assets affected by tourism. These techniques are essential for weighing the environmental costs and benefits of tourism policies. Environmental Impact Assessment, or EIA. This process predicts the environmental consequences of proposed tourism projects and policies. An EIA typically includes baseline studies to understand the existing environmental conditions, predictions of potential impacts, and recommendations for mitigation measures to minimize harm. For instance, an EIA might evaluate the impact of building a new hotel on a coastal ecosystem, considering factors like water use, habitat destruction, and waste management. Tourism also has significant social impacts, affecting the local culture, social structure, and quality of life. A comprehensive social impact assessment, or SIA, considers these effects. Cultural heritage preservation. Tourism can either support or undermine local cultures. It's important to ensure that tourism doesn't lead to cultural commodification, where traditions are reduced to performances for tourists without preserving their true meaning. Instead, policies should promote cultural heritage preservation, ensuring that tourism helps maintain the authenticity of local traditions and identities. Social equity. Tourism policies should promote inclusivity, ensuring that marginalized and vulnerable communities benefit from tourism development. For example, ensuring that local communities have access to jobs in the tourism sector or that tourism revenues are reinvested in community projects can promote more equitable outcomes. Quality of life. Tourism can affect the daily lives of residents. For example, too many tourists in a small town can lead to overcrowding, increased cost of living, and even displacement of local residents. A social impact assessment can help policymakers balance the needs of tourists with the well-being of the local population. Various tools and methods are used in impact evaluation. Let's take a closer look at some of the key methods. Economic models. The input-output model is invaluable for assessing how tourism demand affects other sectors of the economy. It can show how a policy promoting new hotels impacts not only the construction sector, but also agriculture, transportation, and retail. The Computable General Equilibrium Model offers a more detailed simulation of how tourism affects the entire economy, considering the interactions between supply and demand across all sectors. Environmental valuation techniques. These techniques allow us to assign economic values to environmental assets, ensuring that the costs of environmental degradation are factored into policy decisions. For example, the contingent valuation method asks individuals how much they would be willing to pay to preserve a natural area, while the travel cost method estimates the value of a recreational site by analysing how much visitors spend to get there. Social impact assessments, or SIAs. SIAs evaluate the social consequences of tourism policies, focusing on community well-being, cultural preservation, and social equity. These assessments involve surveys, interviews, and focus groups with local residents to understand their perspectives on tourism's effects. Let's consider a real-world example. Costa Rica is renowned for its eco-tourism policies, which have been shaped by comprehensive impact assessments. By evaluating the environmental and social effects of tourism, the government implemented policies that protect biodiversity while promoting economic growth through eco-friendly travel. This approach has positioned Costa Rica as a leader in sustainable tourism, balancing development with environmental conservation and social well-being. In conclusion, impact assessment is an essential component of tourism policy development. By understanding the economic, environmental, and social impacts, policymakers can create informed strategies that promote sustainable tourism development. Impact assessment ensures that tourism benefits not only the economy, but also the environment and local communities, creating a balanced and sustainable future for destinations.